Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Saturday. Today is my birthday, December 9th, and it's no greater privilege and honor and gift than to be here in this space. I actually was looking forward to the message today to see what my birthday energy might yield. Hopefully it's a good one. But I am enjoying my day. I've been taking my time. It's oil from my hands. Taking my time to get to this table. Just kind of pampering myself and just being in the ultimate birthday chill mode. Eating good food. I didn't make my cake yet because I want that to be nice and fresh and hot for my ice cream. But when I get away from here, that's probably somewhere next or soon on the agenda. So yes, if you would like to help me celebrate or send a gift or a donation, I am receiving it and accepting it with grace and gratitude and returning it 1,000-fold as a seed blossomed in your garden for sure. But I would feel so appreciated and so loved however you see fit to exchange well wishes with me and for me today. So thank you in advance for any way in which you do. And I will link my Cash App link below in the description, in the comments, and I'll probably post something on the community tab at some point today. So yeah, as if I haven't cut these cards enough, all right? All right, one more time, and then let's see where we are. Ooh, fair enough. Worth the cut, for sure. I love the strength card, definitely. Love to lead with that. Can't have enough of it, I don't think. Yeah, because even if it expresses itself as like, if there is a such thing as too much strength, I think it really kind of veers into more of a weakness than it could really be considered to be strong. Say, considering you have someone that is so strong that they're unwilling to be supported or unwilling to connect or feel like they got it, I can do it all on my own, and that type of vibe. Or I'm talking about over the top in an imbalanced way, not just someone who's just extremely independent and self-sufficient, because that's very much so a strength. But sometimes it can be expressed in an overexertion to almost the point of weakness when you're so strong that you can't be helped or supported. Like you can't, you resist or push away the possibility of, I don't know how to say it. I think I'm probably saying it too much. I think you get what I'm saying that. And I don't even know why I'm saying that, to be honest, because I don't connect with that vibration of this. It's definitely on the higher end for me to start with, that strength is strength. And it's definitely, in this expression with the card, it's having found a synergy between your primal self and your spiritual self, and not letting one take precedence over the other in any detrimental way, like being too primal or too carnal to the point of overindulging your human senses, or being too spiritual or too ethereal to the point where you're disconnected from the 3D realm and even from the decadent experience of what it is to be human. I think we spend a lot of times undervaluing that experience for some of the challenges that may come along with it. But for the most part, being a human is amazing. Or for those of you or us or whomever that that may be part it and part something else, not quite sure what that is. But this may even be the expression of that. Like I said, your spiritual nature, that intangible force of you that sometimes is a mystery or mystical to some degree. But then there's that very, very human, physical, tangible expression of you that is 100% human and needs to be satisfied and gratified all the same. It's not forsaking one for the other, not being overpowered or overtaken by one or the other, but literally just allowing each to exist in the way that it's designed to do so, and discerning that here's where the real strength comes in, discerning at what point in time either gets to take the lead, or maybe and here, this is what I was saying, that's why I was saying that, okay, about veering into the aspect of almost being too strong, because sometimes with the overexpression of either of these, it can be a weakness when you're, like I said, too spiritual and you don't feel like, you hate the world, you hate humans, you hate life, and you just want to be in the clouds with God all day, all night, then it kind of expresses itself as a fear to some degree to be vulnerable to the sensuality of human existence, which then transfers into a weakness, right? And then the opposite, of course, is true when you're just always fixated on the senses and being satisfied and sensationalized and what you're going to eat or who you're going to kick it with, or what job you're going to work, how much money you have. Like, just the fixation of survival alone, as a matter of fact, can sometimes express itself, of course, as a weakness when you're forsaking the fact that we're having more than exclusively a human experience, and there's a spiritual essence of us that's intangible, that is just as prominent in the quality of this breath of life as it is the quantity that we can measure, So I hope I expressed that well. Yeah. Ooh, come through though, come through. Okay. All right, so here's that independent. This is it. Oh my goodness, this is perfect. But here's the energy that will want to pull on one or the other to try to create either an imbalance or to create dysfunction or limitation. Like, if you're too independent, then maybe something's wrong with you. Perhaps you're a single gal out here in these streets at a ripe age, and it's like, well, why am I not married? This energy would want to tell you a story about that for you to believe it. Or you're particularly devout in whatever your spiritual practice is, or just in your commitment and devotion to your own integrity and being in alignment with that. Sometimes that energy can can forge a projection for you to feel weird in the conventions of society, to stand your ground on principles that may not holistically be in alignment with the status quo. Here is that energy that will want to tell you a story about that. But this is exactly kind of what I was saying. Like, this is the expression of material as hell with the Nine of Pentacles, and this is the expression of the High Priestess. It's like perfectly independent and I don't want to say and dependent. I guess maybe submissive, perhaps, with the High Priestess, because with the High Priestess, like I said, there's always the implication that there's a submission to higher self at the very least, higher source at the most, but something intangible, right? Or something that is immeasurable. And then with the Nine of Pentacles, it's very measurable. This is the material return for the spiritual submission here, where you have what you have, and you're able to measure it and see the success. And it may not be money, but there's a certain gauge, a physical gauge of success and independence and affluence, I would even say, that you can actually see the evidence of, and it's pretty much alluded to, and with the Nine of Pentacles, that it came from a spiritual source first and foremost. Some submission to integrity, some commitment to self, some devotion to a cultivation of a supreme life experience in whatever way whatever unique way that gets to look like. But as I said, oftentimes a bit of a taboo, or at least, something very different than what's limited by exclusively by our humanistic perceptions, especially from the outside looking in. Obviously not so much from the inside out, because energy such as this that has acquired such a status as a Nine of Pentacles, which is highly valued in the tarot, or the High Priestess, which this is given divine feminine vibes, both, single or attached, or in partnership. That's what this energy is given. And a lot of times, well, first of all, what I was saying is that in order to have ascended to this level of expression, says that you would have had to have overcome the temptation. That's what this is represented, the temptation to conform to any limitation in particular. That's what this says. And that's the expression of the Strength card. Like I said, being just enough human and just enough spiritual, just enough primal enough and just spiritual enough to create a life in this realm that is worth living, that is righteous, and in this regard, even rich in some rewarding way, whether it be material wealth, or as I said, just being satisfied with your life experience and where you are in it and what you've acquired, maybe even where you've come from on account of your devotion to your supreme self. Knowing that takes strength alone in itself, and that this is the derivative of that. This is the physical expression, the physical pronunciation of strength in its greatest form. And I love it. It doesn't even matter what this energy is here for. It's just really kind of like, it's like, what was that? Like a fixture, or it's like a tchotchke, like a knick-knack, or it's like it's like it's there, but after a while, especially in this energy, you don't even pay it any mind. You know what I mean? Like you do, but you don't. This, like, the knickknacks and stuff. I don't know. They call them, what do they call them? Smalls now, and designing lingo and interior design lingo. But basically, like little knickknacks. And that's what we call them, especially particularly think about your grandma's house, who has hella knickknacks. And every now and again, one may catch your eye, and it's like, oh yeah, that's been here for so long, or something will pique your interest to actually go over and pick it up and see, take a closer look. But for the most part, it's such a fixture in the home, or in the environment, or in the space, maybe even in your space, things that are just there as kind of part of the design motif that don't necessarily serve any function, but to take up space, pretty much, you know what I mean, to add to the value of the focal points in the house, so that it's just not completely blank, you know what I mean? I don't have a lot of that stuff in my house right now, but I definitely intend to have little knickknacks here and there that definitely express some value or interest. But that's the energy that the devil is giving me right now, like a knickknack. It's there. It's been there for as long as you can remember. At this point, you don't even know where it came from, maybe sometimes with some of those things, or you don't even remember when you put it there or when it got there. But either way, it's not serving or distracting from any function in your day-to-day life. And I feel like that's an amazing way to look at the devil energy in the lowest vibration, especially in the position of strength, where consider this is like the lower frequency of your primal nature. those energies again that would want you to just fixate exclusively on your mortality or survival or any threat to it, fear and, anxiety and those things of the sort, ego and pride and all that good and bad stuff, when it's an overindulgence of it, right? Is there, and it doesn't necessarily, you could even take it a step further and say, like, as I said, with the knickknacks, they serve the purpose of not having a completely blank slate to some degree, but they also don't necessarily contribute to any function in a productive sense, So with the energy such as this that would be adverse, it makes life interesting. You could see it in that vibration, and an even higher one. It's been the very thing that has helped us to cultivate our greatest strength. The adversity, the projection of limitations, the illusion of fear, has been exactly the testing and training ground that allowed us to really see the balance or imbalance of our carnal and spiritual selves, to actually see where there could be a call for more balance. Like I said, to take a closer look at what that little tchotchke is, that little knickknack might be. Take a closer look to see what may be causing a limitation or a resistance in some forward movement, or in being whole and feeling healed and complete, feeling even fearless and empowered to be exactly who you are, even down to those projections by way of society, and even as more intimate as family and friends. That's how the energy can show up. But like I said, it's there. As far as we know, it may or may not be going anywhere, you know what I mean? But one thing's for sure is that when you're operating in the spirit of strength and in commitment to your independence and your submission to supreme self and source, whichever and both, however you see it, it really, like I said, it's like I didn't even really need to say this much, because it's much more an illusion of a power or authority or even value in your life than it actually truly is. As a knickknack, it actually presents itself to have more of an interest or be of some distraction or spectacle in some way, shape, or form than it really serves any function or value, So, I know the adverse energy don't want to hear that, but it just is what it is. Take that up with spirit. All right, so we got the 7 of Wands, and then somebody, look at that, lurking from the sidelines. So that we had this yesterday about investments. This could definitely be good investments in spiritual commitments, or things that are satisfying and gratifying to the spirit for the long run. So not just platonic or intimate per se, but even business agreements and contracts and collaborations, creative alliances, anything of the sort that would call for you to connect your energy with another, in a very intimate way, in some way, shape, or form, because even business can be intimate when you both, when there's money on the line, for sure, or there's an invested interest for the long term. So it's just really, again, staying in alignment, making sure that everything that you are in agreement with or that you are connecting to or committing to holds the weight of truth to it. And not even weight, because swords is air energy, so it shouldn't even be all that heavy. Truth should actually be freeing and lightening for the soul to some degree. So if it is too heavy, then that's a cause for pause right there. But when you're when you're intentional about only committing yourselves or maintaining spiritual commitments, the possibilities for continuous harvest in that respect are endless and definitely blessed by Supreme Source, you know. And here I see the Queen of Swords under here, discerning, making strong, objective decisions. Definitely a great continuum between the High Priestess, the Nine of Pentacles, coming from the Strength card. Like, this is some powerhouse energy right here. So the Seven of Pentacles, I want to stay in the positive vein, hoping that that's what this is, because, you know, Seven of Pentacles, as not so much yesterday per se, you know, it was definitely teetering on that lower vibrational line, but in this vibration, I feel like it's having the stamina for the long term, you know, and really almost like what this is giving me is like working as hard as you rest, you know what I mean? Because it's like, this is clearly about putting the work in, but this is also it looking like it's almost effortless, like it's, and that's what I do say a lot of times about working in your integrity and doing what's true to your purpose, is that it doesn't really, although it may be laborious and maybe even at times exhausting, or at least energy exerting, you know, it still doesn't feel like a burden or a chore per se. It's like he wants to eat these pentacles just as much as he would want to farm them, you know, but it's a labor of love, if anything, because it pleases him, and it satisfies him, not just in the material sense, but just even knowing that it was your hand on the plow that created this field of harvest is satisfying and gratifying too. And then to the expression with the Nine of Pentacles, where she's just really enjoying her little garden, to me it's just really showing the contrast of perhaps even just two energetic forces that can coexist. As I said, like where you can literally feel satisfied in the workload, but still feel gratified in the leisure as well, or in enjoying the fruits of it all, so that there's always a balance. You know, there's agreement even within your own spirit. Yeah, that's what this is giving. Yeah, that's what that's giving. Yep. So you're not necessarily feeling like you're sacrificing anything in particular, you know, like just with the Strength card, you know, like I said, you're just as much carnal and primal we are, just as much primal, where we need to eat, we need to sleep, we need to rest, we need to have fun, we need to feel loved, we need to feel appreciated, we need to feel valued, and we also, well, I guess I just mixed them all in there, because the value and appreciation and all that is even more of a spiritual expression than it is physical. But you see how it just all blends in? You know, you can't really have heavy-handed on one end, as I've said, without it turning into a weakness or a deficiency on the other, you know, in some regard. Three of Wands is about having high expectations for a continued harvest, to always have the energy, the foresight, the resource, the land, the territory, the seed, you know, to just continue to plant and expect good fruit to prosper. Okay, but then we got the Nine of Swords, and then we got the Ace of Swords again. All right, hold on. Do I need to backtrack on this? And what's this? The Devil again? Okay, all right, hold on a second. Because ain't nobody asked for this energy on my birthday. Give me a second. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, okay. It's just the disparity of two worlds. You know, it's kind of like, you know, some people are in this energy where they have, yeah, okay. So where it's the expression of the disparity between those that have stayed in an alignment and true to that balance of nature, you know, literally your natural self and your spiritual self, and those that have succumbed or even surrendered to their primal nature entirely and maybe exclusively, that aren't really very balanced in their holistic expression, let's just say. So this is just given a disparity between those that can continue to expect, to have great expectations, and those that may be operating in a bit of anxiety or eagerness, not very settled or peaceful with their life experience or even what they can look forward to on account of how they've sown before time. It's like we all were given the opportunity, the territory, the resource in different measures, and nothing looked alike, of course, but we were given the tools, the resources, the seed, the territory to sow. It was up to us to decide how we sowed. And of course, nature is the co-creative force, right? This was the agreement here in spirit and in truth, to be on one accord with how you were being called to sow, according to your divine purpose or your energetic integrity. Consider it being determined more or less by you in the carnal, in the primal sense, but of course you had to be in alignment with what was the highest expression of the supreme self, not just stand on that lower level. That was the choice, right? So it's like everybody had their opportunity to sow, and then, some chose to sow a seed that took a bit longer to harvest, perhaps, maybe still is breaking ground, breaking out from the ground to this day to some degree. And a lot of it was underground, you know what I mean? It was like a slow cultivation, slow but steady, persistence here and all that good stuff. And then some chose to take the accelerated route, to expedite the cultivation, to like rush the. I was just thinking about this earlier too, because I was like, it's when you're trying to like rush the harvest or trying to overwork the land to some degree, and like you burn it out, like you burn out your opportunities because you did too much to get the maximum return or yield the maximum fruit to some degree. But then it burns out the land in such a way that what you've yielded is only enough for so much of your storehouse, to carry you but so far, when you could have taken your time naturally and let the land heal itself as you could, because I always act like I know a whole bunch about farming. This must be in my future. I do desire to have a garden or some farm space in the future, but I know for sure that when you try to do too much to the land, like there's a time to plant, there's a time to harvest, and the land needs to rest or regenerate, and there has to be time allotted for all of that. It happens naturally, as I've said, when we flow with the universal order or the natural order of that evolution or that life expression. But sometimes we try to rush the harvest, get the most out of it, and even how our food system has become today, where we've incorporated all different types of methods to enhance, to some degree, but definitely expand or, to have more, to have it be more or be bigger with the injection of animals and things like that. And, it's always trying to gain more for our buck or more for our time, and pushing nature along to meet our demands. That was the disparity between the energies over the past however long, maybe since forever, but definitely most intensely over the past 10, 12 years or so, where we were kind of put into a whirlwind and a spin cycle of sorts for spirit to kind of see how we wrung out, like tried and tested to see what you would do in either circumstance, or how you would respond given this land, this territory, this seed to sow, like what would be your harvest at the end of the season, however long that got to be, right? So I feel like that's just the expression here of this, of people in despair, because they took those seeds and they burnt out the land, and now they don't have. That's the difference between the Seven of Pentacles, to me, how I read it. It's someone that feels like feels satisfied with their harvest, and it could be someone that's dissatisfied, either because they expected to yield more, or they thought they did enough work to yield more, or they're not happy with the amount of work that they did to yield what they yielded. And then there's someone in the higher vibration that's just happy to have a crop turn over. Like, consider, like I'm saying, like me, for the first time planting anything on my own, when I ain't even never really had a plant for real in my house for a long period of time, like except for bamboo. You know, I used to admire my grandmother on my mom's side. She had such a green thumb, and she would always have like hella plants in her house, and they would be living, like I said, it was just a fixture of the house. I literally can in my mind's eye see plants that had been there for as long as I could remember. At least it felt like it, you know, big ones, small ones, hanging ones on the floor. You know, she just seemed to have a green thumb that way. And I've never had any plants, which I'm looking forward to incorporating more in my home. I bring greenery in by way of like flowers and then bamboo, because it's low maintenance, you know, and flowers, you just toss them after a couple water changes or whatever. But it's something definitely to be said about taking care of something living like that with your hands and with your best intentions, and not only assuring that it survives, but actually seeing it thrive, you know? So I'm looking forward to however that gets to be. For me, I think I kind of lost track of why I was saying that or where that came from, but yeah, because I said my grandma, I was talking about plants, right? And how, oh yeah, because I was just saying that I'm looking forward to that. Oh, that's why. Because I was saying that it'll be, for me, the upside of the Seven of Pentacles would be to even see myself take care of anything, grow anything, and not kill it, you know, or let alone in a field, in a garden, outside of sorts, not just plants on the inside, but outside, to plant some tomatoes and actually see them grow, you know what I mean? Or plant potatoes or whatever it is, you know, that's going to be in my garden, and actually yield a harvest from it. Like, wow, I did that with my bare hands, me and nature. We worked together and we created this thing. So that's the difference literally between these two different vibrations, like having a grace and gratitude for what's yielded. And that translates beyond natural stuff, you know, like literally plants and greens, beans, tomatoes, potatoes type of energy. It's anything that you put your mind to, particularly during this intensity of a season and cycle that we've had over the last decade or so. And to see now how perhaps even you, because some of us didn't really have the luxury of seeing much grow on the outside of us, and many people probably didn't see the growth as much on the outside, the evidence, the material evidence as much, but for sure there was a spiritual growing and cultivation that was happening almost secretly with the high priestess, because that's what that energy represents, where there were contracts and commitments and devotions made to being the supreme self, with source, you know, unto source. And the harvest that is yielded to this point is quite amazing, you know, especially if you can perceive it for what it truly is. And that's the difference with the Strength card. If you're captivated only by your primal nature, you would only be able to see pound for pound, produce for produce, what came out of that hard work and labor. But when you can see with spiritual eyes and your physical eyes and your carnal sense, and, you know, perceive with your carnal senses, you can appreciate the unseen as well. And it actually may have more value for you than even the things that you could ever measure yourself by. I know I could definitely speak to that, because there were a lot of things that I set out to do in a material sense that didn't always work out the way that I wanted them to, whether it was a job I thought I would be on and climbing the ladder, or personal business endeavors that, are still yet to blossom in the way that I envisioned them to, or passions and hobbies turn careers, or even creative ambitions that I had to kind of sideline or backburn to do things that were more productive in the material sense. So it's like you've had to kind of make those adjustments along the way. And if I were to only measure myself by the successes that are tangible and measurable, and you can put a dollar sign to it, and I yielded this profit from this business endeavor, or this from, this album from this creative endeavor, or whatever the case may be, I would probably feel very I could probably feel, and that's this devil energy right here to distort the truth of what it truly is, the true reflection of you. I could probably not feel as accomplished, as I would for all that I've endeavored to compare it with the measurable results to some degree. But the knowledge and the wisdom that I've gained throughout that experience, those experiences, even down to cultivating the discernment and the will to make those hard decisions of when it was time to pick something up and leave something and put something down, or move forward, or take a step back, or just stand still, and hear and wait to hear from spirit as to what gets to be now in the present moment, as opposed to trying to forge my way ahead or reaching back for the past of what I feel like I've lost or left behind. That intentionality of presence perhaps has been the most challenging balance of all. Definitely has been the highest cultivation of my own will and my own strength. And from the outside looking in, even unto myself, it's not really, there's not cold hard evidence for it, So it is important to kind of cultivate your own truth, take inventory on your own. And if you can observe any growth, particularly of a spiritual nature, meaning from the inside out, your mindset, your emotional balance, your energetic expression, or energetic levels, your own ambitions and all of that good stuff, your will, your discernment, your intuition. If you can say any of that has grown and yielded a harvest, especially after the season that we've been through, where everything was attacking it at every corner, at places that you didn't even know you were being attacked, and right there in front of your face, you know what I mean? Then you can say that you've definitely, this is your energy with the Nine of Pentacles. Like, you have a great deal of a harvest to enjoy, like a secret garden of sorts that you've cultivated that doesn't need to be validated or accessed, for that matter. Like, you don't even need nobody in there to feel satisfied in that space, in spirit or in truth, because it's something uniquely designed for you. Let you yourself cultivate it between you and spirit. That alone is something to be celebrated. And again, like the projection from our, our carnal eyes, our primal nature would be to have a little bit more to show for. Because as I said, the Nine of Pentacles doesn't have to be actual money. There's just a satisfaction there, a settlement, a security, an independence. Some of us have cultivated independence in ways that can't even be detected. The High Priestess is, like I said, that's divine feminine energy. Like, that's the highest expression of feminine energy, where you can be just as soft. Oh, there it is, back full circle, where you can be just as soft as you are strong. That's why I was, okay, that makes sense. where you being too soft may have led to, and you learn that balance throughout this process. It's invaluable that you've learned that, because now what's happening is that the true heart, look, and here's the softness with the Queen of Cups. It's important because now the measurable harvest is pouring in droves, windfalls of money, more territory to cultivate, because you've been tried and tested and proven your worthiness and your responsibility with what you had, i.e. with yourself, the most, invaluable commodity there is. So it's like knowing just when to be soft and in a receptive, productive energy, and knowing when to be more proactive and even maybe perhaps aggressive at times, and ambitious and driven to a certain extent too, and knowing that there's a time and a place and a space for both energies to either take lead in one regard or the other, or to harmoniously coexist all together. That you can't put a price on that. You can't put a price on that. You can't point to any particular evidence of it other than really your own self-assurance. Really, like, yeah, you can see the evidence in certain ways for sure, but you could have two people that have cultivated that energy, and it still might look different materially, where you could have someone that is extremely wealthy and has cultivated that vibration, and someone that doesn't have much but is standing firm in that vibration too, and it doesn't make one any less or more than the other. It's that that assurance of wholeness and completeness within self that really makes all the difference, because like I said, that tchotchke knick-knack energy of the devil is something that's going to be around regardless. It's never going to stop doing what it does, whether you view that as an energy, a man, a fixture, an adversary. However you see that energy, it's the opposition to your strength. One of my favorite spiritualist always says, like, where there's strength, the devil is lurking, right? And that the devil then came up 2 times just off the strength card, showing his face in the very beginning already. You know what I mean? So it's like, wherever you present yourself to be a powerful force, there's always going to be some resistance or opposition that you can perceive as however you choose, whether it be something that is for your training and advancement, to just cultivate the best of you for you, even unbeknownst to it, or if it's here to completely demolish you, and overpower you and overtake you. It really comes down to your will and decision to decide. Yep, judgment card. To decide, because it meets its own fate naturally and divinely on its own. How it gets to make an impression or influence you is up to you. That one is not on spirit. That's on you. That's on us, But we have all the power of spiritual support because we've been in alignment, to know exactly what to give life to and what not to. To know that sometimes you need to clear some space altogether and get rid of some of those tchotchkes, some of those knickknacks that really are just dust collectors and that serving no purpose at this point and don't even interest you anymore, like things that have completely outworn their welcome. No one else, the spirit ain't going to come and remove that energy from your space. That still would be something that's up to you. So but the spirit will give you the nudges by way of your, look at this, to walk away or change some things altogether, change yourself particularly. And I would say even be aggressive about it, or when to be aggressive to make change in some regard, and when to say that, this is nothing more to be done here. It's time for me to go. Perfect expression, actually, with what I'm saying. That sometimes, the spirit will give you those nudges to say, this is how you can make your situation better by way of what is unfavorable or uncomfortable in your environment or whatever, and whatever commitments you've aligned with. there'll be signs and signals and cues to point you to offer you the invitation of change. But it's still up to you in the physical form to take heed, and that's where that Queen of Cups comes in, to discern what those signs and signals are, to give them meaning with the Queen of Swords, and then make a strong decision about what action gets to be taken on account. And that's the will with the Strength card. What action needs to be taken in response or reaction to it? Is it something that you can forge ahead and change for your highest good? You maybe sometimes some things cause for us to be a little bit more persistent and aggressive. Like I said, back to the Strength card, persistent, aggressive, and tenacious, to almost like make the situation yield to our command to some degree. Now, that's not really, it depends. It depends on what we're talking about. But generally, I like to take the path of least resistance unless spirit leads me otherwise. But sometimes it's really just a matter of disconnecting yourself, to literally just pick up and go somewhere else where you can either be more satisfied, less in less contention with yourself or with the external influences, and find the value of find a reward for your devotion of integrity elsewhere. And that's a hard thing to do with the Eight of Cups, because sometimes it calls for leaving a lot behind that you've already been well invested in. Perhaps you've been cultivating the land 7 years over, and then suddenly you get the sense that, you know what, it's time to go. There's no more for this land to give me. There's no more at this job, in this relationship, at this place of wherever I live, in this state, in this town, in this city, whatever. It's time for me to go find contentment elsewhere, So sometimes there's that. And with the Moon card here, what's this expression of? Let's get one more and let me see. What's the Moon card about? Definitely something under the surface. Could be hidden. Oh, there's Temperance. This could be the energy of community and the aspects thereof that maybe perhaps that you've been it's back to that Eight of Cups, that you've been given to fervently to some degree, or like I said, that are not given back to you. They're not reciprocating, balanced. Like with the Moon card in this, I'm getting a sense that there's some deficiency here, because the Moon is more of a hidden agenda or something under the surface, something being concealed, not altogether in the natural light. There usually is a bit of an illusion or distortion with images at night in the moonlight. It's lit, but it's not illuminated, So that's the energy here. Or it might be enlightening, I should say, to some degree, but not altogether illuminated. So there's an enlightenment, as I've said, to what is unfavorable, maybe even within a community, your own community, or again, within a commitment that you have assigned yourself to or were assigned to in some degree. This is the expression of a balanced give and take, something that's fair, equal, justified, where everybody's winning. But there's something here that is either yet to be revealed or to be reconciled to some degree, or to be balanced, I would even say. And again, sometimes the response to that is something that you can do within that space and opportunity, but sometimes it's what you get to do by removing yourself altogether, and maybe I'm getting a sense that there's some expectation of a revelation that's going to come, and when it comes, it's going to create the balance for all to know exactly where they stand, where they fared, and that experience of the season that we are, that we have emerged from with these great gifts and, ascended expressions of ourselves in spirit and in truth. We've done that, and to a great degree, been planting feverishly, and fervently all along, but a lot of us have not been privy to the resistance as it is, or privy to, it's like taking the test and then getting the answers. You know what I mean? It's like you've already passed the test, depending on who you are, you've passed, or it's pass or fail at this point. You know what I mean? Really, like, it didn't mean you had to have a perfect score, but there was just a very definitive line between passing and failing. So speaking in the affirmative of those that have been very scholarly, or have been persistent to excel in whatever way, shape, and form they've been challenged to. You pass the so-called test of your season, but now it's time to actually see the answers, or get the answers, or like get the answer key, or for the teacher to read off the answers, or whatever the case may be, or even getting the papers back, the markings back, and showing you exactly where you did your best and where there were some opportunities for improvement. In this regard, I mean, there's still that, but in this regard, it's more so a reflection of what you did extremely well and the opportunities of vulnerability that you weren't really privy to, meaning the outside interferences and forces that were secretive, that were mysterious to some degree, that you may even had an inkling of or about, but you didn't necessarily remember. I said it's like it's enlightening. So you had the enlightenment, but you didn't have the illumination, like the light of day to really match what you felt, the intuition that you had felt. Now Spirit is about to balance all of that out, because everybody's role in universal order on an intimate scale and on a grander scale, i.e. nationally, globally, and universally, is about to be exposed from what it's been concealed to be in one way, shape, or form, or distorted to appear to be. So that means you'll see the true nature of this diplomat for exactly whoever he is and what he's actually giving these people or withholding. You'll see the true essence of these individuals that have been in need, or in need of support, or have been at a disadvantage in some regard, and exactly why. And depending on who you are at different points in times, I'm sure perhaps you'll see the value of that expression in totality as well. And even that will be a harvest that is well deserved at this point, because like I said, a lot of us have just been taking the test and haven't really known how well. Some of us didn't know we were taking the test at all. How about that? We was just passing with flying colors for the most part, doing our due diligence, well, my son, it's like when I took my driver's test, because he said the other day, like, I can't wait to take my driver's test. I'm like, we still got some time on that. But what did he ask me? Oh, he asked me, did I pass mine the first time? Now, I passed my actual driving test when I was on my 17th birthday in my Pop-Pop's 4-door Cadillac that I took it in, because then you had to have a car that had the stick up, the shift up on the steering wheel and not in the middle, which now I bet they don't even really have that rule, because most cars don't have that anymore. But it was big old Cadillac that I was whipping, doing my K-turn, and my nervous as hell, because I had to then turn around and go to school, and that was the thing that year, my junior year, where everybody was like, did you pass? And you don't even want to go to school and be like, no, it was a couple people that they didn't pass the first time. But I passed my driving test the first time. But interestingly enough, the written exam, we had driver's ed in high school. I did not pass that the first time. Many of us didn't pass that the first time. So I had to take that a couple times, thankfully for free, because I was taking the course in school and not like at the DMV, where I believe you have to pay and then make appointments over and over again. So no, the written test I failed probably by like a point or two, but you know how that margin goes. I want to say 2 times, at least once for sure, but maybe even twice that I had to take it again. But all along, the space and environment was conducive for my failure. You know, like I said, it was in school where I wasn't. It really wasn't a detriment to me to take it over again, especially at that point, because at that point I wasn't even ready to take my physical test yet anyway. So the conditions were like, although there was an eagerness to want to pass and have that certification and that accomplishment, the environment was cultivated for me to go at the pace that was necessary for me to get the job done, you know, to get the information, to really absorb what was needed to pass the test. And that's a lot of what happened in this past cycle. It was like, we didn't even really know. We knew that there was an urgency and an eagerness to want to do something, to accomplish something, to, you know, to get that business off the ground, to to solidify a happy relationship, or to create legacy for our children, or, you know, all these little things and big things that we had an ambition for, not knowing that whole time we were being graded in a graceful environment on how exactly we went about doing those things. And that was the true test, not how much we accomplished or what we accomplished, what we did and what we didn't do, but the intention and motivation behind our activity was the greatest test. You know, the alchemy of those experiences that were favorable and unfavorable alike, and how we responded to them in real time. And now it's like everybody's now showing their answers, showing their work, so to speak. Is spirit source is exposing, revealing for some, exposing for others. Because when you're being revealed, it don't, you know, and you're doing something amazing, it don't feel so bad. But when you haven't been doing the best, you feel exposed to have natural light shine on you, or any light for that matter. But that's exactly what's happening, that the illusions are going to dissipate in the light of the sun. Everything will, be made clear to you, to your surroundings, to the spectators, to the haters, what they've been doing, what you've been doing, what harvest has yielded all around for everyone, and everything that, all the action steps that were taken on the way to that harvest to yield it as it was, you know. So it's an interesting time. Yep, and everybody ain't gonna be happy, like I said, to be exposed. And this is another one of those cards, like the Seven of Pentacles, though, where it's like, you can look at your experiences like, whew, mama, I made it type of vibe, because it is the wounded warrior with the Nine of Wands. You may have gone through a lot. Like I said, some didn't even know they were being tested. They had their eyes on something else. You know, we were measuring ourselves by some other accolades or achievements, and didn't even know that the process alone was cultivating our greatness. So, but still, definitely with an occurrence of a great deal of resistance along the way, or challenge and trial for sure. So I'm not making light of any of it for myself or for you or anyone else. But that's the energy with the Nine of Wands, and also how you alchemized it. That we all went through a great challenge and trial and have a great testimony to share regarding it. But it depends on what you perceive it to be, and your placement in it at this point in the present. Not how horrible it was to get over, because I mean, did you die? You know, if you're still here to tell the story, there's that. And not even how you project yourself to the future, which hasn't even quite occurred yet. But it's, where are you now with what you know, with the wisdom that you've accumulated, the experiences that you've incurred, the trials and tribulations that you've overcome, or in some regards that you felt you succumbed to, or were vulnerable to. However you see it, is what matters and makes the biggest difference, because that's what goes into these cups. You know, spirit can really only help you alchemize what you perceive as truth. You know, it can't make you feel any differently about yourself or your circumstances than you're willing, strength card, to feel or to respond or proclaim or assert. You know what I mean? It can only help you get to the highest vibration based on your willingness and your devotion or commitment at your highest. That's why these cups are like a balance in that, because it's like, all right, what you going to give me? Whatever you give me, I can balance that out, and it'll help you co-create it and make it even, make it fair, make it harmonious, make it better, hopefully. But it's still, like I said, it's a co-creative process. So if you come into the table, woe is me, then it's only so much ascension you're really going to experience, because spirit can't do but so much with what you give it. You know, but if you come to the table with the value of your life experiences as something forwarding, like I just said, you know, that there may have been a great trial and test, but you got a great testimony to share, and that even in the ways that you may have taken a great loss or not quite acquired the success that you had subscribed to, you know, and it's particularly in a material sense. But you can see the value of, you may have taken a great deal of losses materially, but spiritually, it's been all wins. You know what I mean? Especially on account of how you can reflect on the past and where it has brought you to this moment, recognizing that you couldn't even be where you are now if not for the experiences of the past, good, bad, and indifferent, you know? So it really comes down to what you're going to give, what you're going to sow, what seed you put in the ground, what seeds you invest in yourself, how you even commit and devote to the spiritual nature of co-creation unto your supreme self, however high you allow that to be, and unto whatever source that you allow yourself to submit to. It still lies within you, your will and your independence of the power of your independence to submit yourself to the alchemical process that would ultimately help you to transcend it all and really literally help put you in a position in the present time to see the value in everything. And that's the energy that helps you to manifest the future from the highest frequency possible to acquire. Everything, this is the moment, you know, however we're seeing the past is the impression of the present, and however we're seeing our presence is the projection for the future. So if you're still looking at the past like it was some BS, then that means your present perspective is BS. And that means the potential for your future prosperity and productivity, even with the best of spiritual support, might still be a little bit tainted with BS. So anyway, it might be important, and I think that was the King of Wands that I just saw right now, which would be definitely the higher expression of this energy here, somebody that takes charge of their creative force and their influence, their power, their ambitions, you know. And yes, it's a very action-oriented card for sure, but it comes again on, it's not, the action itself is third in line from first the spiritual perspective, then your mindset, then the activity is what comes on the other side of both of those things. So you would have had to have yielded to a higher minded, a cleansed spiritual perspective and a higher minded intention in order to cultivate habits or actions that would secure the harvest in the physical form, literally the creativity of your present or your future. So I definitely encourage that you continue to stay focused in the way that it seems you already have been. You know, there was very little of the adverse energy here that was worth speaking to, and although the devil peeked his head in a couple times, it's like it's only for its own, it's like just being nosy at this point, trying to see, can I get in there at this point? Is she weak enough now? Is there a way for me to slide in and finesse my way back into the situation? Like it's never in the story with that energy there until Spirit. We did have the Judgment card until Spirit calls that final judgment, and it is no more. We just get to continue to focus on how we get to stay in balance and alignment, submitting to our supreme selves and still valuing even the lowest nature of us, which is just as natural all the same, and creating harmony across the board, giving Spirit something to work with of the highest nature and value. And again, that balance of knowing how to be just as strong. The strength is in the intention to give Spirit the best of you to work with, but also knowing how to surrender and submit in the ways that are literally out of your hands, that gets to be with the co-creation of an intangible force that wants to work with you, not just with you, but for you to some great degree as well. So this is the co-creative experience that we are embarking upon now. No more dependency or codependency. It's all co-creativity from here on out. So accept your power, revel in it. You have the authority to access it and to express it, and also accept the source that gives you that permission to do so. Is just as much here for you as you are here for it. Thank God, All right, so that's it. I was definitely here longer than I intended, but it was a pleasure because I feel like this was a good message. So thank you for tuning in. Don't forget it's my birthday. So if you want to bless me, I appreciate you. Links below. And also I keep forgetting to say that I still am taking questions, spiritual questions, 1 for $25, 2 for $44. That information will also be linked below from now through the rest of December, which right now it's only exclusively December. So if that's something you would like to take advantage of, I am very much so open to that as well and encourage you to do so. Looking forward to it, actually. So in any event, again, thank you for listening and watching. And until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.